in the polls, but Republican presidential Ron Paul is having a seismic effect online. In fact, in just 24 hours this past Monday, his campaign raked in a record $4.2 million, most of it gathered through a grassroots push on the web. Texas Congressman Ron Paul joins me now live from the campaign trail in Manchester, New Hampshire. Great to have you with us, Congressman.
Thank you. Nice to be with you.
Well, so your pockets are quite a bit fuller this week, and you're on a fundraising roll. The big question is, how do you translate that money and a lot of the buzz you've been getting into votes?
Well, at least we have cash in the bank now, and we can start advertising and do some of the conventional things that you need to do to reach a lot of voters. So we will be buying television and getting on the radio and doing our direct mail and all the things that we do. But quite frankly, the campaign is almost like it's on autopilot, just as the fundraising has been. People are just spreading the message through the internet and by word of mouth, and that's where the real strength of the campaign is coming from.
In fact, were you surprised when you guys hit those numbers? I mean, you shattered one record, I believe, and then for online fundraising, and then just within a few hours you shattered the record for a 24-hour period at 37,000 people donating. Did those numbers take you by surprise?
Yeah, well, yes, it's very surprising and it's very pleasing. I think I was flying up on the airplane from Houston while that was going on, and I think on the trip the campaign raised about $1.5 million, and I didn't make one single phone call. I haven't ever made a phone call for fundraising, and these are just individuals who are speaking out with their pocketbooks, and it just came in spontaneously. So it is rather surprising, but very pleasing.
You've been painted as this ideal mix and match candidate for people who don't necessarily follow in the strict party platforms, but can you be a force without the traditional mainstream Republican base that has proven so vital in past elections?
Well, what I'm trying to do is revive that base. That base has been lost, and they're disenchanted, and they've left the Republican Party. I mean, why isn't limited government, balanced budgets, a strong national defense without meddling in the affairs of other people, sound money, and all these things are very traditionally Republican. So I would say that I'm just trying to restore those fundamental beliefs that we used to have, and evidently there's a lot of people that would like to see that done.
How do you take those beliefs and put them into practice? For example, you've gotten a lot of support because of your anti-war stance, your belief that we should pull out of Iraq. But how would you do that in practicality and make that work at the point we're in now?
Well, one thing we know is what we're doing now isn't working. You know, this is our worst year for Americans killed in Iraq. So the surge was an absolute failure, and we're no closer to
well, we've seen for the past 3 months those numbers actually dramatically declined. At the beginning of the year, we did have a spike in U.S. troop deaths. Since then, it has declined.
Yeah, but the surge has been going on, for more months than that, and we have to look at over the year. But the odds of all of a sudden us coming up with a unified democratic country in Iraq is unbelievable. When you look at the problems that we have for the fighting that is occurring between the Kurds and the Turks and what's happening in Pakistan now, the more we get involved, the more we dictate to others, the greater the incentive is for the jihadists to grow in numbers, and the greater we are at threat. And we have to realize it's our foreign policy that is deeply flawed, and we need to go back to our roots, and we need to mind our own business. We need to have free trade, and we need to have friendship with these countries, but we don't need to have an empire. We're going broke. The dollar's on its ropes. The end of an empire always comes when the currency is destroyed. And today, even this very moment, the dollar is crashing on the international exchange market.
I want to ask you about that as it relates to gas prices. Now above $3 a gallon. We have crude peaking at $98, as you mentioned, the devalued dollar. As president, how would you solve what seems to be this growing crisis when it comes to gasoline?
You have to stop the spending. You stop the spending by changing the foreign policy and bringing our troops home and save hundreds of billions of dollars and restore confidence in the dollars. You can't have a current account deficit of $800 billion a year and think the currency is going to hold up. The Chinese right now are bringing us bringing us down, not with a weapon, but the weapon of the dollar, because we've created too many of them. You have to stop the spending. You have to balance the budget. You have to live within our means. And if we don't, the currency is going to be destroyed, and all our domestic programs are going to be threatened. It's a very, very serious problem, and the people have to wake up. Of course, I think the people are waking up. I think the people need to wake up Washington. Washington's sound asleep about this dollar and understanding about how the financial system works.
Representative Ron Paul from Texas, Republican presidential candidate, thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you very much.
Awful lot of what he says makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Oil prices have shattered another record and are now flirting with $100 a barrel for the first time in history. Crude prices peaked above $98 in overnight trading. That's having an immediate impact on